Hi everyone, you're very welcome to Exam Revision, Leaving Cert Politics and Society Predictions 2025. So before we begin looking at politics and society, I just want to draw your attention to a discount code. If you use the code 2025TIPS, you get 10% off our package. So politics and society, the exam takes place on Tuesday the 24th of June at 9:30 AM. It's 2.5 hours in length and will finish at 12 PM. Exam is worth 400 marks out of 500. The other 100 marks are based on your project, which you're all very familiar with. I suppose the exam structure, it's broken into three sections. Section A, the short questions, is worth a total of 50 marks. Section B, document based questions, will be worth a total of 150 marks. And then section C is your essays, where you attempt to answer 2 essays. So Exam Revision offers the complete revision package. There's hundreds of bite-sized video tutorials that makes learning easier for students. The complete revision packet, it's get on-demand video tutorial grinds 24/7 with the entire subject. Bite-sized video tutorial grinds, PowerPoint presentations, H1 distinction notes, exam and mock paper questions, all marking schemes available, quizzes, reflection logs, smart adaptive technologies guide students through their learning. And it's all available on examrevision.ie. At this moment in time, Exam Revision offers 8 junior cycle subjects, all subjects with exam papers and marking schemes. There's Irish, English, Maths, History, Science, Geography, Business and Home Economics, which are fully completed. Incoming in September 2025, there's French, Spanish and Religion. There's 21 Leaving Cert subjects fully completed, plus all our subjects with exam papers and marking scheme. So you can see there's Irish, English, Maths, Ordinary and Higher, History, Geography, Ag Science, Physics, Accounting, LCVP, Politics and Society. And then all other subjects in development, and there's exam papers and marking schemes available, which is excellent. So here are some of our student reviews. Now I'm not going to read through all these, if you just want to take a quick glance of what some of our students are saying. And just a reminder, don't forget, if you want to sign up, use 2025TIPS for 10% off the package. Now, central to the politics and society exam is timing. Timing is one of the key skills in regards to maximising your marks that you get on the day exam, and it's important that you do stick to strict timing strategies. So in section A, okay, you have to answer 10 out of 15 short questions, which is total worth of 50 marks. The time allocation here is roughly 15 minutes, a minute per question. So my tip here would be to answer each short question with 1 to 2 sentences, with using like the key words that are in the question in bold, and use these keywords to answer your question. Answer the specific question, okay, and move on to the next question. Also, it's advisable here to give state your answer and then give an example. Section B is a total of 150 marks. The document questions, as you're familiar with, require a huge amount of time. Simply just reading through the documents take 5 or 6 minutes, and the total time here is 55 minutes. So use evidence from the documents, critique the sources, and link it with your own theory as well, and back up your evidence with points. For the question G, it's advisable to leave 20 minutes at the end, which is worth 50 marks. Now, section C, okay, what sometimes I see is students spend enormous amount of time on the short question and the document questions and don't leave enough time to finish their essays. This is why it's important that you have a strict timing strategy in place. So my advice would be 40 minutes per essay. This gives you plenty of time to complete the 2 essays. Now, it's advisable that you even give 2 or 3 minutes at the start of each essay just to draw a plan, write a plan, mind map, or even a couple of bullet points, just so you put structure on it. Okay, you even might put down your key thinkers and examples. It's a good idea, that. Okay, so 40 minutes per essay. Okay, and move on. Okay. So when you're looking at the first strand, power and decision making, you need to understand the possible questions. We need to learn the inequality in education, but you need to learn about fray rate as well. You need to learn about the social contract, okay, in general terms, and then base it off your key thinkers such as Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau. So the social contract is an essay that covers, are people happy in the Irish society? Is there a democratic deficit, for example? Then we need to look at the Irish electoral system. We need to learn that inside out, especially for short questions and the essay questions. So for example, is the Irish electoral system in need of reform? Give 2 benefits, 2 negatives of coalition government. The EU and Northern Ireland, you need to learn the EU and Northern Ireland, especially for the short questions. So for example, how was the European Parliament elected? How does the Northern Ireland Assembly work? We need to learn about patriarchy, and then you need to learn your key thinkers such as Walby and Lynch, who are central to patriarchy. When looking at active citizenship, it's really important to learn off media, citizen journalism, the right to protest. Where does the right to peaceful protest begin and end? And then you're going to have to intertwine these with your key thinkers such as Chomsky, Marx, Nozick's idea on the minimal state. It's always a nice way to contrast Nozick with John Rawls. In regards to human rights and responsibilities, you need to understand what are the differences between negative and positive rights. Are human rights truly universal? Does the UN need reform? You need to look at the rights of the child. Are they being upheld in Ireland? Are they being upheld in Europe and the wider world? You need to understand the concept of, are human rights a Western concept? And you need to really concentrate on Martin Nussbaum's and her capabilities approach. In globalisation and sustainable development, you need to look at the rise of nationalism in the world. Nationalism is on the rise in the world today. We see the AfD in Germany, we see Donald Trump in America, but you also need to intertwine that with the key thinkers like Said, Huntington, Erickson, Appiah, Anderson. You need to understand the benefits and negatives of globalisation. You need to learn about identity in Ireland and magic communities. You need to understand development in harmony with nature for sustainable development, looking at key theorists such as Shiva and Gunther Frank. You need to look at our consumer choices and how that might affect sustainable development. You need to learn off international agreements, okay, and supranational agreements. For example, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Climate Agreement, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank. These are central, okay, to globalisation and sustainable development. So just some tips on the short questions. Spend 15 minutes, answer any 10 out of 15. My advice would be to answer all 15. Aim for 1 to 2 sentences per point. Answer the action question. Avoid vague or general responses. It's very important that you answer the specific question because there's no time to deviate off track. And stick to time. Max 60 seconds to 90 seconds per question, depending on if you're going to answer all 15. For the section B, the database questions, my advice would be to stick with 55 minutes for the 150 marks. It's compulsory that you answer all sections. It's not like section A where you have 10 or 15. Answer all sub-questions on the documents. What are you being tested on? Well, how well you critique data. Is there bias? Look at the source. Is there reliable? Okay. Check the credibility source. Is there limitations of the source that you're looking at? It's always good advice maybe to look at the headings, where the document comes from at the start of the exam. Key skills to show off. You're critiquing the authorship. Who wrote it? Why? Is it biased? You need to use this key terminology. Evaluating methodology. It seems to be a very common question. How is the info gathered? So for example, was it survey? Was it interviews? Who was the sample size? Is this reliable? Is it quantitative or qualitative data? Draw conclusions. What patterns do you notice? Be argumentative. Show your understanding of the documents and bring your own opinion in. I suppose when answering the documents, it's according to use the buzzwords. According to document A, according to document B. Really be clear which your information come from, and give reference from the documents. Give reference from the statistics. Give reference from quotations in the documents. Give reference to small points on the infographics. Say sentences like, this may lack validity because of. Okay, and then question G on the document is worth 50 marks. This is the question where you answer it based on the two documents. You spend about 20 minutes on it, and you must reference from the documents. So again, using the information from the documents, answer the set question. In section C, essays, it's 40 minutes per essays, okay, which is 200 marks in total. You choose 2 out of 5 essay questions. One will have option A or B. Now, this is very important, okay? You can't answer question A and B in the essay. You must go to a different essay topic, otherwise you will not get your best essay will only be getting marked there, so you lose 100 marks. So it's very crucial that you read the questions carefully. So say for example 4A and 4B, you cannot answer both of these questions. What examiners want, well, first and foremost, they're just looking for clear structure. You're looking for your introduction, 3 to 4 main points, your conclusion. You have to use at least 2 theorists, okay? One must be from the spec. You must bring in key theorists, bring in their quotes, their books, their opinions on it. Bring in your real examples with data. In the Irish society is the current affairs, your global issues. But the key thing here is that you must reference your data. If it's by Amnesty International, according to Amnesty International. If it's by the CSO, state it's from the CSO. It's important that you evaluate and bring in counter-arguments. Go beyond one side. Acknowledge that you do accept other opinions, which is really important. And please, please, please answer the question, okay? You cannot go into a politics and society exam and just learn off an essay and regurgitate information. You must answer the specific question. Common mistakes to avoid: writing long intros with no theory. Keep the intros to answering this question, explaining your topics that you're going to bring in your key theorists, and then move on to the next paragraph. Forgetting to link to real world examples and the Irish society. You must bring in real world examples, whether that be Europe, Ireland and the wider world. There's no point just listing theorists without explaining their relevance. So say for example, if you're using Karl Marx, you're going to be talking about social class, capitalism. Okay, if you're talking about Nozick, you're going to be talking about the minimal state. One of the common mistakes is that people running out of time. It's really important that you stick with the timing strategy that we put in place, because if you don't write a second essay, you lose a total of 100 marks. And that is one of the key issues of the exam, that people run out of time. So move on after you've spent 40 minutes on the first essay and move on to the next one. Another issue is copying text from data sources without analysis. Yes, it's all great that you bring in your outside knowledge, your outside data, but comment on this. Like you have to bring in a fantastic report, a data source, but what students do is they just drop them in without going into analysis of that statistic. And again, answer the specific question. In every single paragraph, you must answer the question. because that at the end of the day is what you're trying to do. Answer the specific question that's given on the day exam and repeat it, okay, in every single paragraph. And this final bit of advice: how to prepare. Study smarter, not harder. The first point is master your format. Know the structure of the paper. You can see this above. Your short questions, document questions, and essays. The best way to get better at short questions is practice all the ones in the past exam questions. Practice your essays under time conditions to improve your pace. Learn your key thinkers. Okay, treat each key theorist like a real person with beliefs and a backstory. For example, Karl Marx, inequality, class, capitalism. Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau, what are their differing views on the social contract? Sylvie Walby and Lynch, patriarchy and gender systems. Edward Said, Orientalism and cultural representation. Freire, oppression, education, voice. Appiah, cosmopolitan identity, globalization and intolerance. And then one of the key revision strategies that I like to use is, say for example, if you have a theory name, okay, it could be the example of are human rights universal, or it could be a key theorist like Karl Marx. You give one quote, one real life example, and one question that they'd help answer from exam papers. So that's it for the exam revision, politics and society revision and predictions guide. Don't forget, if you want to sign up, please use the code 2025tips for 10% off the package. Wishing you all the best of luck in politics and society exam in June.